Well, the Group 1s roll on as we head to Eagle Farm. We've got the Kingsford Smith Cup, the Group 1, the Queensland Derby, the Group 1, a big day of racing up north in Brisbane. I welcome Nick Lloyd from TheLegUp. How are you, great man?
I'm good, Tommy. I'm good. Group 1 racing, it just keeps rolling around and just keeps getting better and better up here. So, yeah, looking forward to it. Probably like outside of Stradbroke Day, I'd say Derby Day is the number 2 race day in Queensland. So I'm pumped, mate.
There's some tough races. We'll jump into that in a minute. I can't wait to dissect a few of these races and get your insight. We've got a fun game halfway through the show. This is Laid Back with Betfair. Obviously, I'm Tom Haylock. Let's get into the start of the show as we usually do with your lay-bin, Lloydie. What have you got for us this week?
Yeah, mate, bit of a touchy subject because I'm a diehard Queenslander, and obviously we went down 1-0 in the State of Origin last night, but I'm putting the phrase mate versus mate in the lay bin this week because that's always what they say, mate versus mate, state versus state. But I tell you what, if you're wearing a blue jersey and cheering for New South Wales, I'm not your mate on Wednesdays during State of Origin. So you can shove that. I'm putting that in the lay bin this week, mate.
Talk to me about the rivalry. We don't have this. I'm not a big NRL fan. We don't have this in AFL. It will never be replicated in AFL. But is it the hatred real?
Well, I think this time of year especially, like you grow up, like I grew up in central Queensland, so like we're all just lots of diehard Queenslanders up that way, and you just sort of like, I can remember like one of my best mates at school, he was born in Sydney, went for New South Wales, and we were like 6 and 7, you know, like rocking up to school on Wednesday of game day and not talking to each other. And then whoever got the result on Thursday, it was sort of, you know, one of them would be trying to dig the boot in a little bit further. So it's literally just always been anything, like the only thing I've known, like when it comes to that, like, I'm not saying I don't like Sydney, but during State of Origin time, burn the joint down, mate.
Love it. I want to ask you, and this is a little lay-bin from me, the hype around it. We have seen, and it might just be me, but I saw a couple of people tweet about this as well, and even a colleague of mine at Betfair discussed this yesterday. There's been absolutely no hype from here in Melbourne, and I saw a couple of people up in Queensland tweet the same. I didn't even know it was on down here. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, no, I agree. I was talking to a mate yesterday as well and said the same thing. Like it seemed like this year there wasn't anywhere near as much sort of hype around it. I don't know why. I'm not sure what you can put that down to, but you know, like I live in Brisbane and game 1 was in Brisbane last night, and yeah, like hardly saw anything around. Maybe I just don't get out enough, just too busy watching races, but
too busy doing the form.
Yeah, exactly. But no, there hasn't been. I didn't think there'd been that much. So yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if down that way there'd be even less.
Yeah, well, they can get in the lay bin. So there you go. We want to hype it up, and hopefully a few people had a couple of bets at Betfair and gambled responsibly and had a win, which is good. Let's head to Eagle Farm, mates. I want to talk to you about the track because the weather, typical Bureau of Meteorology and the forecasters, they're sitting hard on the fence. 0 to 6 millimetres Friday. 1 to 15 millimetres on the race day itself on Saturday. We could be on a good 4. We could be on a heavy deck. Which way are you playing? How do you think the track's going to play?
Yeah, it's impossible to know, mate, when the Bureau's taking each way bets like that. Like I think on Monday it might have been they were tipping 15 mil Friday, 25 on Saturday. And so, you know, like you get that, you're looking at a heavy track. And if not, you might get the 1 mil on Friday and 1 mil Saturday. So who would know? Eagle Farm, the last few meetings, sort of the inside few lanes have been a little bit inferior. So you want to be getting off the fence. And if we do cop rain on race day, that's even more of a reason to get off the fence. So I'm looking for horses, probably lanes 4, 5, 6, the A ground. Not saying it's impossible to come up the fence because I know that horse of Tony Gollan's, Boomtown Boss, he won a couple of feature races back to back, and he went back to the inferior ground both times and won. So it's not impossible, but yeah, I think they'll be getting off the fence where they can.
So deducting harshly marking inside barriers on Saturday?
Not necessarily, because I think there still can be the first horses to get to those middle lanes and force those other horses wider. But I don't think it'll be a disadvantage to be drawn wide, though.
Fair enough. Well, let's get to the first race. We're going to preview race 5. We're doing race 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So stay tuned. Plenty of winners. I need Nick to help me here. The Group 2 size produce. Now, it's an interesting race in a sense. I've actually had a look at this race, and we line up, which is, I've looked at 2 or 3 races, but not probably, I haven't looked at a couple and not as in depth as you on a couple either. But what is it? 9 of these come through that race. That Gallinero flew home for second. He's probably the horse to beat off that lead up run at Doomben. Ran fantastic late sectionals there, Gallinero. It was a heavy track over 1200, suited to 1400 metres, Nick. And then you've got a couple of others from different form lines. Which form line are you taking? Are you taking that Gallinero form line or looking elsewhere?
Mate, a little bit of the sort of theme of the afternoon for me. The different form is the way that I'm going.
I love that theory.
Yeah, especially the Derby. I'm happy to put the whole rough habit in the bin, to be completely honest. But we'll get to that.
I agree.
The size is where we're at. I'm with 2 horses here. I'm going to have a little Tommy 2 bets. Horse 7,
yes.
horse 8. Aerodrome, the main bet for Michael Friedman and Reggie Bayliss. Beware the unbeaten horse. I thought he's been really impressive in both of his wins. He hasn't put margins on them, but he's beaten Hidden Motive on debut, and then that horse went to Hawkesbury in a 2-year-old maiden and won that by 4 with his head on his chest. So that form's been franked. And then he went to the Clarendon, which has always been a pretty good form race, especially to come up here. And I thought his wheels spun a little bit on the heavy track, but he was still too good for them. He's ticked the 1400 metre box if we do get rain, even though I just said he didn't necessarily love it, he still got through it and he still won 3/4 of a length. So he's ticked that box, and he's sort of got the SP profile. Like he was $2.10 favourite there, and now he's shopping $5-6 the last time I looked. So he's on top for me. And the one that I thought's huge odds, the barrier is probably a negative, but number 8, Brave Design for Danny O'Brien and Jordan Childs. Jordan Childs, I don't follow Victorian racing a whole lot, but he seems to be riding winners left, right and centre at the moment. This horse was well backed, started 290 in that Group 3 down in Adelaide behind Steel Trap. Steel Trap, the start prior, was behind Legacy Bound, who, they're tipping up as Golden Rose, Caulfield Guineas, Coolmore, Everest Moral kind of thing. So last prep, he ran second to Vinrock, who's gone to Sydney and won the ATC Sires in Sydney at Group 1 level. So all the form around Brave Design is really good. He's going to roll across from that wide draw. There's not a whole lot of speed. I think he'll be right in the finish if he can sort of replicate his first couple of runs.
Yeah, I agree. He was the value that I found, Brave Design. He's a maiden galloper still, but rinse and repeat what you said. I think he's a huge chance here, and I can't believe we both lobbed at $20. I tended to look away from that Gallo Nero form. At first, I thought it was a race in 2. Gallo Nero was the horse I wanted to take from that lead up, and then the other one was Aerodrome. The more I looked at the Aerodrome race at Hawkesbury, and I don't like Hawkesbury form, but I just didn't think he was as dynamic there. I didn't love his action, but I concede he's got a good chance. But yeah, then I found Brave Design at a massive price, and I'll be backing Brave Design each way. So we both line up there on number 8, Brave Design. Nick also on Aerodrome there, and risking the Doomben lead up, which 9 of them come through. All right. The Fred Best Classic, race 6 on the card, the Group 3, 1400 metres, and a very interesting race with the return of Angel Capital. Just another in those silks that goes around for Chris Waller and looks hard to beat, mate.
He does, mate, yeah. We shopped $5 all in on Monday. I had to have a little nibble at that. So I was happy to see Bizzusto come out and not have to cop any introductions on those all-in tickets is always nice. But I'm siding that way. Chris Waller, Ben Melham. Ben Melham's got a good affiliation with this horse. He's won on him a couple of times. He's 3 from 3 first up. There's a lot to like, and especially under the set weights conditions as a 102 rater. He's got, 14.5 rating points on the likes of Just Party and Media World, and he meets them at level weight. So he's thrown in. Barrier 5 is perfect. He's going to get the run of the race, you would imagine. He's never been on a heavy track, which is a concern if we do get to that range. I don't necessarily think that we will. He's a winner on, I think it was a soft 5 early on in his career, maybe off the top of my head. But, he's come up here. He's run very well behind some good horses in those sort of 2-year-old races last year, and 5th in that Champagne Classic behind Bitter Creek and Elmore Zillow. And and then he was $9 in the size behind Broadsiding last year on this day. So I think he's a horse to beat. Golden ticket into the Stradbroke. He's probably on the cusp of getting a run in the Stradbroke anyway, but I think they'll want to win this and make sure that they can get to that Group 1 in a couple of weeks.
Number 2, Angel Capital. I tend to agree. A couple of things I didn't love about his trials is he was slowly out and didn't show a lot of tactical speed in both of those.
Yeah.
Nick, that last one in particular, I know he worked along the inside and won that, but it was on synthetic and he kind of missed the start there. So that was a concern for me, along with a wet track. I know you said he's won on a soft 6, but that was early in his career.
Yeah.
His size produce run, he did get beaten 6 lengths behind Broadsiding when he went in the market. So that's a little query for me, especially first up at this trip. But you happy to take the price?
I probably couldn't be diving in again now. I think he's the most likely winner. Like I said, I've got that ticket at the $5. I'm happy with that. But yeah, what it is, $2.90. I probably couldn't see him starting much shorter because this is a race that over the past few years there's been some really sort of progressive horses come through. Obviously, like Steffi Magnetica ran in it last year and got beaten, but the last few years, Hawaii 5-0, Valana, Dawn Passage, Apache Chase was a future Group 1 winner. So there could be one out of the box that might be on that upward trajectory that might find a few lengths and get the job done. So yeah, $2.90, probably don't want to be diving in, but most likely winner for me.
If we're on a good track, could be a moral. He's so much better than him. So if we're filming this on a Thursday morning, who knows what the track's going to be like? But if we end up on a good track, Nick, I'll be taking the $2.90 for sure. If we end up on a wet track or a heavy track, I wouldn't be taking $3.50, even $4. So it might be a watch race, but we'll see how we go. Stay ahead of the game with the most up-to-date betting insights, track conditions and bias, scratchings, late market moves, and more. When it comes to betting, having the most up-to-date information can make all the difference. That's why we've introduced Betfair's Late Mail, the most informed tipping service on the market. Delivered by pros like John Walter, Glenn Ingram, Sean Byrne, and Bella Anderson, Late Mail provides expert insights closer to the jump, helping you adjust your strategy with the latest information and data at your fingertips. Late Mail is exclusive in the Betfair app, so simply open the app, follow Late Mail tipsters, and enable notifications to be ready when our pros send in their late bets. Stay informed, stay ahead, bet smarter with Late Mail. Now, Nico, time for a bit of fun, mate. I'm going to ask you a series of would you rather questions. I want prompt, sharp responses. Hopefully, you've had a 2-second look at the run sheet and know which horses and have some idea of the form I'm going to ask you. So let's kick things away. Slightly different segment here. We'll clip it up for the reels. Let's go. Would you rather Angel Capital, Autumn Glow, or Lady Shenandoah?
Lady Shenandoah.
Lady Shenandoah or Aliana?
Lady Shenandoah.
Lady Shenandoah, Treasure the Moment.
Ooh, I'm going to flip. Treasure the Moment.
Oh, Treasure the Moment or Private Harry?
Treasure the Moment. I think she's in the Cox Plate picture.
Oh, all right. Let's shift to some jockeys.
Mm-hmm.
Ben Melham or Jamie Melham?
Let's go Ben.
Yeah, you have to go Ben there for sure. Ben Melham or Noel Callow?
Oh, the king. No, we'll stick with Benny Melham.
I was gonna say you're not sticking with the king. He's flying, but surely Ben. Ben Melham or Mark Zahra?
Probably Mark Zahra. If I've got a horse in a Melbourne Cup or a big race, I'm going the big dog, I think.
All right. Mark Zahra or Nashra Willa?
Let's stick with Mark.
Mark Zahra or Blake Shin?
Blake Shin's in the good books after Antino and War Machine last Saturday, so we'll go Shinny.
All right. Well done. That'll do. Well played, sir.
Thank you. That was good. I liked it.
We'll do more of it. I don't think I could disagree with any of those, to be fair.
Yeah, that's good.
I was going to get my neck up if you said Noel Callow over Ben Melham.
Yeah,
well played. I think, who's the best 3-year-old at the moment? Treasure of the Moment or Private Harry? You'd rather be with Treasure of the Moment?
Yeah, I think so. There's something about her that I really like. Like she gives me, like, I don't want to compare horses to Winks because Winks is, she's on her own platform.
But you are.
Well, the way that sort of like early on in Winks's career, I find them very similar, and the way she sort of travels into races puts them away. There's something similar. So I'd love to see her put her hand up, and we're talking about a horse that's trying to win 15 in a row in 6 or 12 months' time, you know?
I hope so too. I would love to see it. I hope she can win a Cox Plate. That would be fantastic. All right, let's get back to Eagle Farm. That was good. I enjoyed that. Thank you, mate. Kingsford Smith Cup, Group 1, race 7 on the program. Fascinating race. I don't agree with your couple of tips, so this will be good chat. Firstly, how do you see the speed map?
Yeah, it's interesting. Rothfire coming out takes a little bit of the speed away. You'd expect Zarastro leads. Rise at Dawn will kick up from barrier 1. Bezusto, probably the map horse from gate 4. Golden Mile, I don't know what they do with him. He's fourth up off that long break. We've seen him settle closer in the past, but his last few he's been snagged back from wide draws. He draws 14 again. Not sure whether they roll the dice with him, or his grand final might be in a fortnight in the Stradbroke. So we'll wait and see what they do there. But I really don't think there is a whole lot of pace in the race. Are you seeing it the same, mate?
Yeah, obviously Rothfire coming out definitely hurts. Zarastro I've got leading, so it'll be interesting, and how the track's playing as well might have an impact on tempo and whether they're off fence and how wet we are as well. So that'll be interesting, but keep an eye on that. I don't want to go too hard on you because there's a bit of value here, and I don't ever knock someone for tipping something at about the $25. Let's start with your roughie in the race, mate.
Yeah, Payline. He's just flying. I tipped him one day for like our members tips, and he was still a maiden going around in a 3-year-old handicap, and he got beaten. And someone said, that's probably what you get for tipping a maiden in a 3-year-old handicap. And then about 5 starts later, he came out and won $1 million race. And then last start, he's just missed Sunshine in Paris and Rothfire in a Doomben 10,000. I thought, well, I was on to something. He goes good, and he's come back really well this prep. He's had 3 runs under his belt. Just missed in that 10,000 last start. He maps poorly, but I just think if Sunshine in Paris was here, she's probably $4 or $5, probably on the second line betting behind Jolie Star. He's run her to half a length and was a little bit stiff. So I think at $25, $26. I know he was 50s there, so you might have to take a little bit of that into account. And he's probably really well suited in the Stradbroke in a fortnight with 53 on his back, but. I've probably got to go back to the well on him. He can run well, especially if it gets wet.
Do they get a penalty in a Stradbroke if they win this?
No, because of weight for age.
Fine. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a good little backdoor way through, because the weights came out on Tuesday, so they can sort of dodge the handicapper if they were to win this. The other one I want to have something on, and I see the price has trimmed up a little bit. He was double figures last night, but Bezusto for the Inform Archibald camp, he dominated that Gold Coast Guineas last start on a heavy 9. Whether or not that's the right form, I'm not 100% sure, but I thought he beat a really good horse in Give Me Space in the Magic Millions Guineas over the summer, and then he ran second to Hit, a shock in a Group 1 in New Zealand. I know he was beaten 4 lengths, but like I mentioned with the speed map, barrier 4 is perfect. He's just going to land in the absolute sweet spot, probably 4th, 5th, one off if he can. He's going to get the run of the race. He's clearly come back well. So I thought they were two, around that double figure, each way sort of quotes that you can have something on. Jolie Star, definitely, she's the most likely winner for me. I still have her marked favourite, so definitely no knock. And Giga Kick, I don't know, is the jury out a little bit with him, Tommy? I was very keen on him in that Goodwood with 54.5 kilos on his back under the set weights and penalties conditions. He runs second in an Everest only 3 starts ago, but it's a while between drinks now with him, isn't it?
Jury has to be out. Yeah, I was with him there. I just thought it was a bet. If he turned up, he'd win. But it was a bit of a negative ride. He was a victim of circumstances. Did they really try there? Did they have bigger fish to fry? We've seen him come back when he was targeting an Everest and take a while to work into his work. But he had a couple of 1,000-metre trials, so I thought he'd be ready to go there first up. And it looked a bit more intent shown as opposed to the Everest campaign. So, yeah, I wanted to see a little bit more.
I think, is it Rocket, the racing manager for Pinecliff? He came out and said sort of back the truck up. Like this is grand final day kind of thing. So
Mm.
yeah, like I thought there was clearly a different setup to what we saw in the spring when he was a bit poor first up over 1,000 in the spring.
If he wasn't Giga Kick, everyone would have said it was a good run, but it wasn't amazing. Like he didn't beat Reserve
Yeah.
Bank or Sir Sway, and now he's got to step up to this. So I think he's a lay. I don't want to be with him. I want to see him come back, especially from that barrier. You have to get back. I want to see him come back before we do it. I'm laying him. I don't think Bizzasto can beat Jolie Star if Jolie Star turns up, and that's my thoughts. She's the best horse in this race on her day, and I think she'll be the hardest to beat. Do I want to dive in at the price, Nick? Probably not. It's one of those races. She flies fresh. Just not sure, whether I want to dive in on Eagle Farms. That you'll know better than anyone. Eagle Farms a tricky track, so she's yet to see the track, which I hate taking short prices about horses that have never run at Eagle Farm either, especially in these Group 1 races. So, it's tricky.
I think I will say like a positive, like barrier 13 on paper, it looks a little bit yuck, but I reckon her best wins have been when she's been able to find clear galloping room and not be sort of buried away on the fence. That TJ Smith, where she was well back, she drew barrier 4 and Damien Lane kept looking for inside runs. I think the fence was off the top of my head that day too. It was sort of a bit bizarre to want to keep her down to the fence. But when we've seen her find clear galloping room and really build the revs, she's a freak on a day. So I don't see barrier 13 as a negative. And I know, we've been at Doomben the last few weekends, so you can't compare tracks, but the best horses that are like they've sort of drawn wide a few times, like Sunshine in Paris, James McDonald, he had the similar sort of situation, drawn wide, got into that running line and was too good on the class horse.
I'm laying Giga Kick there. I'll have Jolie Star maybe for the Hamburger, and hopefully we get the lots. The other value in the race, and I don't want to lose if Rise at Dawn wins. I absolutely loved his jump out at Caulfield Heath. He was headed in the straight under no pressure and fought back. He was really, really strong through the line. Barrier 1, he's got tactical speed, Nick, so he could be right up there. And if it is slowly run race now that Rothfire's out, he'll be in the right spot, hopefully working off fence, finding the right lanes for Blake Shin. And he can't do much more. He's won 8 from 15. He's 3 from 3 first up. He's fresh. He was last seen running 4th in a Doncaster. I know it was a slow tempo, but pretty good form.
Yeah, definitely. I had something on him in that Doncaster as well. So I sort of share that similar sentiment. He's a very nice horse, and a little bit of sting out of the track will only aid his chances, I would imagine.
There we go. That is the Kingsford Smith, the Group 1. We head to the other Group 1, the Queensland Derby. This took me an hour last night to have a look at, and I still haven't found a winner. I was dissecting. There's different form lines. You've got the South Australian Derby. You've got the Rough Habit. I think we both agree on how to play this race, but I don't know who wins. Speed looks tricky. The emergency, a Claire Encore might be the one to roll forward if it gets a start. Party Crasher kicking up from the inside barrier. Looks a moderate tempo. Any surprises?
No, not really. Like Imperialists got away with Blue Murder in that Rough Habit. They rolled the dice from a wide draw. I would imagine they do the same thing here. Tommy Barry Sticks, they've drawn the car park again. So I would imagine he's probably one that's going to go forward. Politely Done, no, probably not from out there. There was another one a little bit further down the page.
Existential Bob, Lavalier will be handy, and Chase Your Dreams maybe from out wide.
Yeah, and I thought maybe Saint Emilion could be relatively handy, like maybe sort of come across with Imperialist and try and slot in somewhere there. But it's a weird sort of race because, like I touched on earlier, I don't want to be with that Rough Habit form. I thought, how could
you back anything from that Rough Habit with confidence, mate? It was Imperialist, as you said, roll forward, had a good run in transit. It's paid a huge price there. Then you had the second horse paying huge odds as well. It was a really rough race. Deep Focus was the best of the closers, probably around the fastest 8.64 and 200 metres making ground. But yeah, just a really tricky race. And Imperialist ties into a few of these as well. So,
like Deep Focus, like you touched on with those late splits, he's probably the only one that I could entertain out of the Rough Habit, but he was $81 there. You've still got to take $26 here, and this is start 7 in his first racing prep. So he's been up quite a long time. You'd sort of imagine it's got to come to a little bit of an end soon. Like his first run was back in February, and then he's been 3 weeks, 2 weeks, month, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks. So like that's a long prep.
I'm tired reading that.
Yeah, exactly. So I've put a pen through most of them out of that race. I'm going to Adelaide, but I'm not with the SA Derby form. I'm with sort of the progressive horse that might be just the here and now Party Crasher for Michael Hickmott and Craig Williams. I love this horse's, both of his wins in back-to-back. Like, he won well in a benchmark 66. I know it was only a 66, but he rolled forward from barrier 5 that day and was just panels better than them over 2,000. And then he got to 2,200. He drew barrier 1. He got, he just switched off perfectly, dropped the head, settled, travelled, popped off the fence, and then he put them away. There goes my hero and Lakes Folly. They ran 2nd and 3rd. They were well beaten. They came out and backed up 7 days later in a 2,500 metre benchmark 78 at Murray Bridge, and they ran 1-2. So, nothing wrong with that form. He's going to get the absolute run of the race here from gate 1. He's only lightly raced. He's bred to stay. I think he'll be too good for them.
Oh, I agree. I went looking for Party Crasher. Second fastest final 200 metres of the day over that 22.50. That's an electric turn of foot over a staying trip. If he could do that, he's got to be in the mix at a huge price or a big price. So I agree. I think he's the one that brings different form. You mentioned the Rough Habit. Now, Imperialist came into that. He ran 9th in a Guineas, beaten 6.5 lengths. 15th in an ATC Derby, beaten 4.5 lengths. A Firm Agreement ran 2nd in that Derby, but was lapped in the Rough Habit. Then we had Imperialist, ran okay in an Alistair Clark, but ties in through Statuario and Politely Done. So I kind of went looking away from that as well. I'm happy to pen that Rough Habit, and if one of those wins, then I lose on the race. It is what it is. I think the Adelaide Derby, they say Derby's the right form line leading in, but it's a bit of a tricky race. I mean, Cintalante was back to the inside, held up a little bit. Statuario probably worked wide, and while the winner Feminile was gaining momentum along the inside, Statuario had to work wide, and that was the race over. It was a bit of a tricky race to line up. I thought Lavalier probably has none off that, had every possible chance in the SA Derby. But I went looking for different form in Party Crasher as well. Can make a case for Rogan off a dynamic Caulfield win as well. So at a huge price, 200 to 1, you'll get on Betfair. So yes, a very tricky race, but I think we both somehow lined up. Incredible.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed, mate. What did you make of the fillies? You've got, obviously the Derby winner you touched on. Belle de Tel comes through the Rough Habit and Chase Your Dreams out of that sort of SA Fillies Classic. That form's all sort of tied in through the Oaks down there.
Correct. Yeah, Chase Your Dreams probably the one that I'd lean to of the fillies. I've got a decent record when they've run in this race. I can see them running well. They bring different form, but I do like to be with boys in these derbies over the fillies, unless they're really good. But they're in the mix in a very tricky race. Yeah. I thought Belle de Tel was probably short enough. That was all.
Yeah, so did I. Like, she's been well backed in a few of those races. They truckloaded her in that Rough Habit, and she was good. Like, she got a long way back from that wide draw, but what did they do again? Like, from barrier, she's drawn 21. She'll come in 1, 2, 3. She'll come in 4, so she'll jump from 17 of 18. Like, it's far from ideal, really, isn't it?
It's the J-Mac factor. If anyone else was riding it, should be longer. So there you go. Bit of value there in number 13, Party Crasher for Nick, and I tend to agree there. We finish off with the listed HELEN COUGHLAN Stakes. I haven't had a look in the race, so I'll be completely honest. So purely relying on you, and there's nothing in the run sheet, Nick. So you're not filling me with confidence here.
No, it's a tough race. These fillies and mares races are always a little bit of a lottery. It's going to be a wait and see race for me because as you know, my Twitter handle is Rocky Form, so I do tend to love a little bit of Rocky Form. And Comrade Rosa comes through the Archer, which is $1 million race up there, slot race. She was really good. I was on her that day for a good result, and somehow Lubrication found form and jumped out of the ground to beat her. But she's only going to improve with the run third up here. She's had that little. She's going to be 3 weeks between runs. Wet track though, so she doesn't love it. She's won twice on herself, but if it's heavy, you can just put a pen through it completely. And I'd rather see it a soft 5 or a soft 6. That's probably where she's going to be if she's a winning chance, I think. But she's one that I could entertain if it doesn't get too wet, mates. There's a lot of horses that are going really well, like Floozy. She's won 3 from 3 for Tony Gollan. She's done it good 4, soft 5, heavy 8. She's carried weight. She's done it with no weight on her back. So she's obviously going very well, and we don't know where her ceiling is. You could make a case for half a dozen of them, to be honest. But yeah, Comrade Rosa for me if it's not too wet.
There we go. Comrade Rosa there to finish things off in a tough race. I've got to say, before we get to your best bets and your hamburgers, mate, well done last week. 2 from 2 Hamburger. Superb efforts. We all, I think 3 of us laid Benadryl in the feature there and had none unplaced, and you found the winner, Philia. So well done.
Thanks, mate. It was a pretty painless watch, really.
Wasn't it?
Philia,
and hammered in betting.
Yeah, she was, wasn't she? Like, I think she might have been 650, maybe the Thursday, and then we did the show Friday, and she was into $5, and then jumped pretty close to favourite, around that 380, 390 mark, I think, and she just got complete control of it and upped the ante. And I tell you what, David Van Dyke post race, if you caught that interview, like I feel like you don't get too much emotion from David too often. Like, he's sort of set in his ways, he's got his processes, but he was up and about. Like, he's just about Calder and Oaks moral. Like, if you read between the lines, like he goes, well, 2 weeks between runs now into that Oaks. She's a half to Jewess who won the Oaks. So yes. Yeah, she's a nice filly. And yeah, Benadryl she didn't have much luck, but she was well beaten at the same time. Yeah.
There you go. We'll keep talking your hamburger this week, mate.
Yeah, I found it difficult to find a hamburger this week because, like, I didn't want to take on the likes of Jolie Star. Obviously, with Angel Capital, I didn't really want to be against like your Gallo Neros around that $4 and $5 mark. So we're going a little bit earlier on in the day. Race 4, I'm going to make Tavi Time the lay. James McDonald, he can do anything at the moment, so it's scary taking him on. But I sort of went through a few of his preps, and he seems to go really good third up and then drops off a bit deeper into his preparation. So he's 4th up here. He's had 3 wet track runs now. So he could be feeling it a little bit. He's got to carry the top weight, 58 kilos. So I'm happy enough to be against him. I thought there are a few good chances, but the one I want to back is Brookhaven for the Chris and Corey Munn stable. That stable is flying. He was a good winner first up, and he was well supported against sort of similar opposition. Brookhaven, he's going to handle all conditions. He's typically improves a few lengths second up off good first up runs. So the fact that he's gone to a new sort of level first up this prep, I think that's a really good platform for him. And around $14, more than happy to be backing him and laying Tavi Time.
Love it, mates. Yeah, I found it tricky as well. I could lay the first 3 or 4 favourites in the Derby in Statuario, Beldatel, King of Thunder, Feminile even, and have Party Crasher for an absolute fill-up at $15. That might be a good hamburger. We'll be
lay them all to place.
Meal deals for everyone. That'd be brilliant. I could do that. I could lay Giga Kick as well. I think Jolie Star and even Rise at Dawn can beat home Giga Kick. So a couple of little hamburgers for me there. What's your best couple of bets on the program, mate?
I think the best winning chance is track dependent race 6 horse 2 Angel Capital, and the best each way bet in the Derby race 8 horse 13 Party Crasher.
Come on, Party Crasher. Love it, mate. Thank you for joining me. Been a pleasure.
Pleasure as always, mate. Hopefully a few more winners this weekend. Eh?
We'll be back to do it all again next week. This has been Layback with Betfair. Hello, Betfair punters. We're excited to introduce a new feature on the Betfair app, Follow Tipsters. This feature will allow you to follow your favourite Betfair experts and receive notifications when their betting strategies go live. By clicking follow and enabling notifications, you'll never miss a tip from pros like Terry Layton, Mitch Lewis, Jackson Oldham and Bella Anderson. All exclusive in the Betfair app, so download and get started.
Imagine what you could be buying instead. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.